This is a Bigjigs wooden railway, Heritage Collection, Canton East Sussex G.W.R engine model. The G.W.R 5700 class, or 57XX class, is a class of 060 pannier tank steam locomotive, built by the Great Western Railway, G.W.R, and British Railways, B.R, between 1929 and 1950. With 863 built, they were the most prolific class of the G.W.R, and one of the most numerous classes of British steam locomotive. Although officially designated by G.W.R as light goods and shunting engines, they were also used for passenger working on branch, suburban, and shorter mainline journeys. They were distributed across most of the G.W.R network, and after nationalization of the railways in 1948, across the British Railways Western region and also other regions. The 5700s were not as large as the G.W.R castles and kings, but became just as much of an icon of the G.W.R due to their iconic design and quantity. As a result of the 1955 modernization plan, the 5700 class was withdrawn from BR service between 1956 and 1966. 19 withdrawn locomotives were sold to London Transport and Industry, of which 10 were later preserved, along with 6 that were retrieved from scrapyards. The Canton East Sussex Railway, CAN-ESR, refers to both a historical private railway company in Canton East Sussex in England, as well as a heritage railway currently running on part of the route of the historical company. By the mid-19th century, Tenterden was in the middle of a triangle of railway lines. The South Eastern Railway had opened its line from Redhill to Tunbridge on July 12, 1841. The line was opened as far as Headcorn on August 31, 1842, and to Ashford on December 1, 1843. The South Eastern Railway opened its line from Ashford to Hastings on February 13, 1851. The third part of the triangle was the line between Tunbridge and Hastings, which had opened as far as Tunbridge Wells on November 24, 1846, Roberts Bridge on September 1, 1851, Battle on January 1, 1852, and to St. Leonard's on February 1, 1852. Running powers over the London, Brighton and South Coast Railways line to Hastings having been negotiated. The Ashford-Hastings line had originally been promoted to run via Headcorn and Tenterden, but the government preferred the more southerly route. In 1855, a proposed railway from Headcorn via Cranbrook to Tenterden failed to obtain its Act of Parliament. In 1864, a proposed railway from Paddockwood via Cranbrook and Tenterden to Hythe, the Weald of Kent Railway, also failed to obtain its Act of Parliament. A proposed roadside tramway from Headcorn to Tenterden suffered the same fate in 1882. In 1877, the Cranbrook and Paddockwood Railway was incorporated, and powers obtained to build the northern section of the Weald of Kent Railway to transport agricultural produce and livestock from low-lying land adjacent to Wittersham Road to a better mainline connection. Powers were obtained in 1882 to extend the line to Hawkhurst. The line opened to Goudhurst in 1892 and Hawkhurst in 1893 too. The Tenterden Railway was the next to be proposed, running from Maidstone to Hastings via Headcorn, Tenterden, and Appledore. The section from Headcorn to Appledore was authorised in 1892, and agreement was reached in 1896 with the South Eastern Railway over the operation of the line. In 1898, the proposal was abandoned in favour of extending the Cranbrook and Paddockwood Railway to Tenterden and Appledore. This was abandoned in 1899 as too expensive to construct, and the South Eastern Railway again backed the Tenterden Railway, but no work was done and powers to construct the line lapsed in 1901. With the passing of the Light Railways Act 1896, a group of citizens of Tenterden, led by Sir Miles Fenton, proposed a railway from Roberts Bridge to Tenterden, the Rother Valley Railway. Assent was granted to construct the line under the Act. The contract for the construction of the line was won by London and Scottish Contract Corporation, who subcontracted the work to Godfrey and Siddelow. The work was overseen by Holman F. Stevens, who was appointed General Manager in 1899 and Managing Director in 1900. Stevens attained the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Territorial Army (TA) in 1916 and was subsequently known as Colonel Stevens. Opening and growth. The Light Railways Act 1896 allowed for cheaper construction methods in return for a speed restriction. The line was authorized to be built with 56 pounds per yard, 27.8 kilograms per m, rails, but was actually built with 60 pounds per yard, 29.8 kilograms per m, rails. Speed was to be limited to 15 miles per hour, 24 kilometers per hour, but under the terms of the act was soon raised to 25 miles per hour, 40 kilometers per hour. The line was opened for freight between Robertsbridge and Rolvenden on March 26, 1900, and to passenger traffic on April 2, 1900. A wind pump was provided at Robertsbridge to supply water for locomotives. The original Tenterden station, later renamed Rolvenden, was some 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, from the town. The first train departed at 7:30 a.m., carrying some 60.2 passengers. The lukewarm reception was partly because of the distance of the station from the town, and partly due to fears that the opening of the light railway from Robertsbridge would prevent a more heavily engineered line being built from Headcorn. The South Eastern Railway abandoned its plans to build the Cranbrook to Appledore line. The scheme was adopted by the Rother Valley Railway. Opposition from the South Eastern Railway meant that the Tenterden to Appledore section was dropped. Authorization was received in December 1899 to build the Cranbrook and Tenterden Light Railway from Cranbrook via Benenden to the Tenterden terminus of the Rother Valley Railway, and to extend further into the town of Tenterden itself. A proposal was promoted in 1900 to build a line from Robertsbridge to Pevensey, which was to be worked by the Rother Valley Railway. The East Sussex Light Railway was authorized in 1901. This was a line from North Eyam to Rye. Only the section from the original Tenterden terminus to Tenterden town was actually built of all these schemes. The extension to Tenterden town opened on April 15, 1903. The original Tenterden station was renamed Rolvenden on this date. The first train from Rolvenden to Tenterden carried 312.78 schoolchildren, along with Sir Miles Fenton, Holman F. Stevens, and other dignitaries. The South Eastern and Chatham Railway, seeking to relieve themselves from building the Tenterden Railway, entered into an agreement with the Rother Valley Railway for the latter to build and operate the line from Tenterden to Headcorn. The South Eastern and Chatham Railway agreed to make up any operating losses in exchange for an option to purchase the line any time within the next 21 years from the date of opening. The option was not exercised. A wind pump was provided at the Headcorn end of the station. It supplied a water tower located at the Robertsbridge end of the station. In 1904, the Rother Valley Railway changed its name to the Kent and East Sussex Light Railway. The line from Tenterden to Headcorn Junction opened to traffic on May 15, 1905. A wind pump was provided just outside Headcorn Junction to supply water for the locomotives. In 1904, the Headcorn and Maidstone Junction Light Railway was authorized. This line would have run from Headcorn via Sutton Valence to Tobble, where running powers over part of the Medway Valley line would have allowed access to Maidstone. Only the section from Tobble to Tobble Goods was ever built. The original junction at Headcorn was on the Ashford side of the station. Headcorn was remodeled by the Southern Railway in 1930 to provide two through roads, and the junction was then moved to the Tunbridge side of the station. On the outbreak of war in 1914, the Candy SR came under government control, as did most railways at the time. It was released from government control in 1921, and £1,487 in compensation was paid. The Candy SR was not included in the grouping of the railways into the Big Four in 1923, and continued its independent existence. Upon nationalization, one of the surviving two locomotives, and all but the newest rolling stock, were scrapped. Ex-South Eastern and Chatham Railway birdcage carriages were put into service on the line, supplementing the ex-London and South Western Railway carriages. Mixed trains continued to run, but were now provided with a brake van. The line continued to be run as two sections. A a proposal to double the line wasn't carried out, but the track was again relayed to a higher standard, using rails salvaged from the Elam Valley Railway. All ticket stock was withdrawn and new tickets were printed, and the staffing of stations was increased. That was not accompanied by an increase in passengers, and regular passenger services ceased. The final passenger train ran on January 2, 1954. It was the 5:50 p.m. from Robertsbridge to Headcorn, composed of 6 corridor coaches which had been specially brought from Ashford for the occasion. Motive power was Terriers 32655 leading and 32678 at the rear. 32655 was replaced by 0131065, and 32678 banked the train to St. Michael's. The 2 Terriers then ran back to Robertsbridge with a carriage between them to reduce the weight on the bridges. Double heading was prohibited between Rolbenden and Robertsbridge. 2 freight trains a day continued to run, with hop picker specials operating until 1958. There was occasional passenger traffic in the form of rail tours. In 1957, Drury diesel locomotive 11220 was successfully trialed on the line, and it and 11223 were the regular locomotives for the final years of operation. In 1958, Hastings diesel-electric multiple unit number 1002 underwent load tests between Bodiam and North Iam, the only time one of these units visited the line prior to the preservation era. The final passenger train over the line before closure was a Locomotive Club of Great Britain Rail Tour on June 11, 1961. The line closed the following day, apart from a short stretch at Robertsbridge serving Hodson's Flour Mill, which became a private siding. This final section of the line closed on January 1, 1970. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel.